Live. Good morning. This is Ian and Jeff from the Auto Hub Show, and we're going to start with the SubPrime panel edit from last year's Used Car Week Toronto. If you are interested in the full video with all its idiosyncrasies, and there is available on our YouTube channel. Here we go.
The banks are a pain in the ass. You have the nicest person you ever met in your life. Somebody got sick. They're in desperate trouble, and it's almost like you want to co-sign up for the car. And the bank's like, nah, I don't think so. And then when things get a little lean, they come to you with gifts. It's like the three kings look at Jesus. So what can we do?
I disagree with you with that. The banks have, since I started it on Prime in like 2001, the ability to get a less than perfect credit customer approved in an ethical, profitable way is we've got a lot of opportunity out there with our lenders. More and more ones are coming up, and as we talk to them as dealers or their FSMs, as they talk back to their reps, word does go up on B2C, and as much as possible, they have to manage their risk, they have to run their business just like we have to run ours, but for the most part, if there's something that the lenders can do to still more deals for you, they will do it. And
Great, thank you. And of course, now we're also going to be looking at, we're all seeing a little bit of change going on right now. But inflation, I won't say the other side, I'll say we've got all sorts of things, got interest rates going up. So there will be people coming up that are, as this other dealer said, very good people that things just went wrong. So that's a big deal in choosing lenders. Kim, your position on this?
I agree. The more tools you have in your toolbox, the better off you're going to be, and we'll make a decision about what lender you're going to use for what particular customer, and that's probably the most important thing to know when you're trying to maintain good relationship with your lenders is having your staff be able to read and understand credit bureaus. And I always say, if you don't know if the lender will do it, we'll review the cheat sheet. We put a cheat sheet together for our team so they can look across and go, okay, 2 repos, no, 1 repo, yes, 2 bankruptcies, no, my minimum income requirements for this bank, and know where they need to go, and make sure that they're smart about getting their customers the best possible approval they can get for their customers. So if it's good for my customer, I want the tool on hand. If you have something about rates going up, anything else for next one?
Well, that was the question, just a comment I made. And actually, the one thing, until Kim said that, did you notice she didn't say the word rate? So it's the best possible situation. That's something I always do. Just matter when we hear her, we pat her on the shoulder. We take away. Now, Larry, your position, Larry's household. But how would somebody go on a personal level choosing a lender?
They're both absolutely right. You jumped up and said something, so you might be a banker or a lender. That's awesome. Because anybody that's involved enough to listen to the dealer and say, here's the parameters. Because most times, if you follow the dealer parameters and the lender parameters, it's easy. Here's what we need, here's what we want. And I've been on both ends of this, meaning they always give you what you don't want. The pay stuff doesn't match up. It doesn't fit. The car doesn't book out the way it went. So again, same thing, attitude process. You want to have as many lenders as possible. You want to try to pass the business around, keep them engaged. But yeah, you're both right. I got a little depressed sitting next to Kim with triple bankruptcies and refills. I think my neighbor was upsetting.
Hey, it's gone up. She helps people improve their credit.
So there we go. Quick excerpt. If you want to watch the whole video, go to the Auto Hub Show YouTube channel, and it's about 45 minutes. There's some interesting moments for sure if you're in the subprime space or want to get into it. So here we go into our show trailer. Give me 1 second. Here we go.
Ready, set, go. Coming to you live, it's the Auto Hub Show with Ian and Jeff. Here we go.
Who said you can't teach an old dog new tricks? Hi, I'm Gail Rubenstein, the founder and CEO of a company called Retail Resilient, social selling for the car industry. And we help auto dealers, auto agencies, and vendors in the auto industry sell more cars, service more cars, and make more money using our social selling strategy. That includes TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and anything else you can think of. So if you're looking to invest thousands and make millions, we're definitely the social selling company for you. Like I said, who said you can't teach an old dog new tricks?
I was at Larry Tillman's seminar. So happy I came, having such a good time. Thank you so much, Larry.
One of the best trainers in this area for sure. I don't know about anywhere else, but as far as I know, he's the best. So,
Told you,
twice,
take advantage. Thank you for having us here.
I'm at Larry Feldman's seminar, and what I found is that what he's really good at doing with his knowledge and with his training, he's not filling a bucket, he's lighting a fire.
Ways to improve. Every month we want to improve better on what we did the month before, maybe the year before. It's about how fast we can get the cars done with quality work to get it to the front line, because that's where we make our money. And the bottom line is, the longer it takes, the more money we spend. We want to get it down as low as possible. Right now, like I said, we're in a great stage. We're at 4.5 days. In recon, we want to know how quickly we can get the cars out of the recon process and to the front line. The average days in recon and then the time to line are the most important thing to do. I'm Mike Burrell, I'm Service Director at JM Lexus.
And a special shout out to VidCalls. If you are interested in using video to engage with your customers in real time, they have a free 60-day trial. You can definitely check it out, vidcalls.com, or reach out to the Auto Hub Show team. And good morning. And as I said earlier, there's a lack of books on SubPrime. So I couldn't find 3. I was able to find 2, Secrets of Auto Financing, approved by G.I. Evans, and Automotive Special Finance, The Road to the Sale by Thomas Wells. I included our video in there because really there wasn't a lot out there that I could find on the internet, of all places, about subprime. So if you are in subprime, write a book. It'd be a good opportunity for you. Jeff, go ahead with our disclaimer.
Well, good morning, afternoon, depending where you are. There's only 2 people on the show right now that are from afternoon land. Thanks for joining us today. And before we get started, actually, because we don't have Larry on today, we're pretty safe. But our Auto Hub Show disclaimer is the fact that the views and opinions shared today are those of our guests and not necessarily that of the Auto Hub Show or Ian and Jeff. Ian.
Thank you very much. So the show today is about the controversial topic of subprime finance. We always get a lot of viewers on this, but more importantly, it's a great way to learn more about what we found out in Toronto, which was kind of interesting, was that there was about 45% of the market. That is correct. 45% of the market is subprime these days. And there were a lot of dealers in the room in Toronto that were a little bit shocked by that. They're like, really? We had no idea. So it was kind of interesting. So that's the topic today. So let's get into it. Jeff.
Well, we have a great group of guests here. And just before we introduce everybody, one of the things that's always a shocker to new car dealers is that statement of 45% of people. And unfortunately, we might be seeing that growing as everybody moves out of pandemic spend crazy and suddenly realizes that that truck that they're into for only 3.75% for the next 108 months or down to 96 months. And the 100 grand truck is we bought it at 165,000 and all of a sudden it's, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. But today we have 3 official guests and 2 unofficial guests who are really thrilled to have and other fans of the show, which is very nice. But we're going to introduce our newbies to the show because the veterans, she's just going to wow everybody anyways. But the first person that we have here that's new to the show is Ted Lamb. Is joining us, I believe, from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, or wherever he's traveling at the moment. Looks like he's in an old streetcar or something. But the company is THR or Aether, but Ted, introduce yourself.
introduce yourself. Please answer this question. Subprime finance is growing, I can't talk today, because A, there's a bunch of people badly upside down, they gotta bail on their contract, the guy in the truck I just talked about. B, the economy tanking, C, people who suffered are trying to get back into the market, and D, crap happens. So take it away, Ted.
I think it's B, right now, I think a lot of the newer, I think there's the subprime market because of the rising interest rates and mortgages. I read an article, I think last 2 months was the highest amount of missed car payments, and they're estimating that 71% of people can't afford the new renewal for their mortgage. 71% that's renewing, and for me. Okay, sorry. Let me just go. I'm Ted Lyons. Nice to meet you. Forgot about that. But yeah, no. I truly do think that. I truly do think that it's because circumstances are happening, and unfortunately, the rise of interest rates, inflation, and of course, like you said, the last 2 years, everybody paid a 35-40% too much on the vehicle, or more, not too much, more for the vehicle at that point. That was the market value. And with the depreciating value right now, that negative equity is going to be huge. And you know what's funny? We say subprime because subprime really, the whole thing is it's just an art of how to assemble a deal together and how to put the company at the most minimum risk that they can. And like as a lender, and right now I can almost guess that prime banks will be doing the same 140, 180 cap very soon. And that changes it now. We're back to subprime. Now there's subprime, near prime. I think everybody's going to be capped. So that's just that's my view on it. And I think it's only going to keep growing and growing from this year.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for that input. And I tell you, people would have subscribed to the Jeff Polo Financial Analysis newsletter. Would have told them to have locked in their mortgage a year ago. But that's a whole other thing. That's just because I'm not that smart. Next, joining us is Sunny. I believe I've got it right, Sunny. Please introduce yourself and answer the questions. Which of the 401s you think is best? But you first.
Hey guys, my name is Sharma. I've been with Aether as well, vice president of the company, and definitely excited to be on the show here with you guys.
Terrific. And what do you think is the situation subprime because they're upside down, the economy's tanking, people who suffered are trying to get back into the market, or crap happens?
I think especially with the way I've seen the trends and I'm glad you mentioned about the mortgage part for you. Thankfully, I was able to lock in my mortgages last year. so thank God. But I think it's a little bit of both, especially about A and B as well. A lot of people are upside down. When the economy, especially when it was changing in the beginning, and we were starting to see interest rates rise up, there was also a shortage for supply as well. And a lot of people are starting to, they're overpaying for cars. They were buying them at higher rates, higher prices, and there's a lot of people that are hugely upside down. And when you can no longer, when your bills are going up and the economy is coming down at the exact same time, mortgage interest rates are rising. It not only becomes not affordable for your own personal like house needs and mortgages, all of that, but now you're trying to get out of this payment that you thought was definitely affordable for you. Everybody bases their life and their income on their bills that they already have set for the last probably couple of years, and now you have a mortgage payment that's increased about $1,500 to $1,800 along with the other costs. Suddenly, this car payment is no longer affordable. But how do you get out of there? You owe so much on it, you're going delinquent on your payments. Now what do? Where do you go? So you just continue to go upside down and continue to add debt onto it, and you're not able to get out. So I think it's definitely a little bit about both. And like Ted mentioned, we're going to see a lot more of that, a lot more delinquency rates, as sad as it is, and how terrible it is. But it's what we do to be prepared for it in advance.
Well, it's a very good point. Thank you so much. Thanks for the opinion, and thanks for being here. Next, we have who's the last of our official guests, but way not least, she's one of our favorites. And she's like she really knows her stuff. Is that Kimberly MacPherson, the CEO, the founder of many special finance operations, buy it smart, sell it smart. I believe in Halifax, or who knows where, Nova Scotia, Canada. Kim, introduce yourself. You've already said the questions. Why don't you give the hello, tell us your thoughts.
Hi, Kim MacPherson here. Thanks for having me. We help dealers set up and optimize their non-prime departments. I think it's a little bit of everything, but I'm going to get a little controversial here, which I know you're shocked about. If you've been in non-prime for a while and you're paying attention to the franchise dealers and how they sell vehicles to less than perfect credit customers for years, we've been bearing them. It has partially to do with the economy, and it has a lot to do with selling people vehicles before we know that they can A, afford them, and B, get approved for them. It's an old story that started for me in 2001 when I sold that Dodge Caravan to a gentleman and then told me he wasn't approved for it, after moving his family into it on delivery. So what we've got to do is we have to change the way that we think about selling vehicles to people in general and understand that 40% of the market. So there you go, I'm off. 45% of the market has less than perfect credit, and if you're a franchise store right now and you're still worried about upsetting your prime customer, you just got to think about 45%. Like, let's start leaning in here and figuring out the solution to the problem and stop selling vehicles to people and they can't afford them. We've got to get responsible about how we do business. It's simple questions to ask. What kind of car payment can you afford? And my theory on this is that if you take a look at inflation and the market and oh my God, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to have to figure it out, because one of the biggest things that makes the world go round is the automobile industry. So it's my predicament that people aren't going to stop driving. They have to drive, especially in my neck of the woods. They got to get to work. What's going to happen is what 500 used to buy them is now going to buy them something less. And the people, in my opinion, the dealers that are going to win in this market are the ones that are really good at listening to their customers, building relationships, and going back to that old school way of doing business, and bringing in some of the tools and tech like Aether that helps them very quickly find the vehicles that match their pre-approvals. But do the due diligence of listening to the customer. And when they say they want a payment that they want quoted right in the beginning of the transaction, that's the easiest way to say, do you know what interest rate you qualify for? I guarantee you 9 out of 10 of them have no idea. Get them pre-approved, and then let's show them vehicles that match their budget. We won't have this negative equity problem if we're right by our customers, for real.
Well, you know what? There's nothing worse than getting somebody showing that beautiful pickup truck with all the fancy gizmos and the lift and everything else. And then, like some dealers do, great news, come on, you're approved, and there's a 2-wheel drive manual transmission regular cab sitting there waiting to drive away. I'm gonna move on to the question, but before that, I want to recognize our good friends and show fans, Harry Wellner joining us from Philadelphia, Peter from the Niagara region, and for the first time in a while, John Latka. So thanks, John, for being here. Thanks, everybody. And Ian, take it away.
Yep, and a special thank you to Robert and Candace as well. Candace, I believe, from Kelowna area, and then Robert from Greater Vancouver. We hear a lot of talk about electric vehicles being 20% of the market, and that we should all focus on the 20%, but we're ignoring that 45% plus that maybe have less than perfect credit. So it's kind of interesting that there's lots of focus on high-end electric cars that maybe very few people can afford, but we're ignoring that 45%. So the big question, this came up in Toronto last year, Used Car Week, is subprime getting the respect it deserves, or is it viewed by the retail industry as a last resort chance to gross people in need? And I think what was shocking in Toronto was the dealers in the room going, really? 45%? We had no idea. And that's one of the largest markets in Canada. So I was kind of like, wow, like you have no idea. So that was kind of interesting. So Kim, what do you think on this?
Well, not only is it such a huge market, not only is it such a huge market. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you say Kim or Kim?
Yeah, Kim, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Not only is it a huge part of the market, it's also your solution to your employee problem. If you can teach people how to do non-prime, they will sell more vehicles and make more money, which makes them want to stick with you and continue to sell cars. If you're using the right tools and techs, you will solve your inventory problem until you learn how to buy better. Another little plug there. You've got the best, like in the history of the car business, and I've been around for long, I'm like an auto dino since 96. In the history of the car business, I never seen any leasing program or anything that brings back customers like a solid subprime program in business that you're running where you actually care about your customer. You're going to put them in a vehicle, have to rehab the credit, trade them out in 18 months to 2 years. That for real can happen as long as you're not grossing the snot out for them and don't eat you. We help our dealers average $4,500 a copy, get your numbers up there and help a lot of people. You're going to save time. You're going to stop losing deals. You're going to stop trying to put deals together and pull it out of it. I mean, this solves every single, I can't even think of another problem. If the structure and how you structure non-prime and how you communicate with the customer in the beginning stages of the sale is all about having that conversation around what do they need the vehicle for, what is their budget, and then finding out what the numbers are first, reverse engineer the math. So we're not worried about inventory and do we have to shove a customer into a vehicle that they're paying too much money for. It solves all kinds of problems. It's a win for the dealer. It's a win for the customer. It's a win for anybody in the non-prime business. Like, let's get with it. We've been talking about it since 2001. Prime. Get non-prime smart. Hashtag.
Exactly. And it sounds like Ted had some technological difficulties, so he'll be back. So let's go, Sonny. Talk a little bit about the subprime finance. Does it get respect? Respect, to quote Tina Turner, I guess.
They get respect if they buy it smart, right?
That's right.
But yeah, I'm actually surprised that being in the industry for over a decade as well, and I don't think it's getting the respect that it wants. A lot of people are not seeing it as their bread and butter, which is surprising to me because 45% of people that have non-prime credit and they're missing out. And it's like what you touched on before is a lot of people our dealerships are so worried about making sure that their prime customers are good. But you know what? Prime customers, first of all, how loyal are prime customers to a brand? They're not very loyal all the time. I think I've maybe bought the same brand maybe once, and that's because maybe I got a free demo or something from work, to drive, and that was my second one. But prime customers are not going to stay loyal. They have the ability to go and get whatever they want. We want to try the BMW today. Next week, I'll try a Mazda next year, and next year I'll try this. Whereas subprime clients, when those people, when it's done smartly for them, they're treated smartly. You are bringing them into your portfolio, and you're giving them that same type of attention, and you're curating them. These customers are worth 3, 4, 5 deals to you because our whole goal is to bring them into that prime credit situation and help them get there. So how do we help them get there? And the road to the sale isn't just, hey, let's get our first car at 22% and now we're down to 8 right away on the next one. These are people that you have to put through a proper loyalty program, treat them well, bring them on. And I think a lot of people are missing on that. We're so worried about, hey, let's worry about what kind of a next $55,000 electric vehicle we're going to sell to the 1 or 2 customers that are going to buy it right now. But let's not focus on, the 45% of the people that are trying to, that are in the non-prime credit, that are actually going to buy those 4 or 5 used vehicles from us in a year. And you want loyalty and retention, and you want the same cars. There's no that way. I was selling 15, 20 subprime deals a month or non-prime people, and a year later, those same cars that you sold, that you serviced in your same dealership are circling through your lot and going right to the next person again. So are we missing out a lot of, are we missing on it? Absolutely. I think we're missing out big time on subprime, and it should be treated. It's actually surprising sometimes, with Aether when we talk to dealerships and they're like, yeah, we have 120, 130 pieces on ground and we do 5 subprime deals a month. I'm like, oh, how? It doesn't make sense to me. So I think not only are we missing on subprime, but we're actually missing on dealership loyalty, retention, growth, everything. It's a huge market that a lot of people do need to tap and do need to look in and get familiar with it and start making friends with these lenders. There wouldn't be 15 to 18 to 20 lenders out there if the subprime world wasn't picking up. So are we missing out? I think we're missing out big time.
Yeah, I mean, it surprised me in Toronto. And it surprises me when I had the opportunity to work on projects across Canada for Chrysler and other brands. The lack of expertise at dealerships, franchise dealerships, but more importantly, the ignoring those deals. When you look at your average dealer in North America selling, say, 60 to 100 cars, new and used, and you're not paying attention to 45% of the market. I mean, I was at I think it was an Acura store last week or maybe the week before, and talking to the finance director, and no, we don't have any subprime here. I was like, really? Interesting. So, that was kind of interesting, just because, I think the perception in some cases is not the reality. And that seems to be the case in subprime. But more importantly, in retail in general, when you look at that focus on 20% of the market while they're ignoring 45%, to me, that's a massive opportunity. But go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I think the reality is too, and it's very funny, Kim, you said we got to go back to the old-fashioned way of building relationships, and we didn't go back far enough during recent times. We went only far enough where we were putting people together. And I think a lot of dealers, what they're doing is, and they've done it for a long time. Well, can't get them approved. Goodbye. See you later. Yep. Okay. Next. We don't have subprime here because we don't want them. And you made a comment to, BMW, maybe you're a master or something. But I think the people are trying to make it, and because they're really into that heavily, and moving into a Chrysler 200. Speaking of subprime cars. But Kim, you're a bright light as part of the industry. You're a subprime specialist that doesn't exhibit predator-like behaviors. Sonny, Ted, you guys have a platform that provides customers to get a vehicle they want rather than the dealership they chose has. Hence the two-wheel drive, regular cab, manual transmission pickup. So, Sonny, are you guys the future of subprime? The group in here just shining lights in the sea of despair. And by the way, when I wrote this sea of despair thing, I had a Princess Bride moment. But
I absolutely, I think with Acer, and you know what, we're definitely want to be, and I know we're going to be the future of subprime and the light on there. And it's because of the core values that we do bring to it. Not just maximizing growth for a dealership and whatnot, but it's bringing that true loyalty and retention back, and being able to give these customers who have missed these payments and stuff like that. Sometimes there's that single mom who has to pay for kids' diapers, has to pay for that. Doesn't make her a bad person just because she has to pick between a credit card payment and a diaper. So our job and what Acer comes and what it does is it eliminates from finance managers from having to be keyboard warriors and spend that same amount of time behind the desk. And just like how you said there is, when they come in and you spend those 1 or 2 days on the computer and you come in and you're like, yeah, that Honda Civic that you wanted, behind that is that Dodge Caravan, and on the right of that is that Cruise, and right behind that is that double cab, 2-wheel drive, manual stick that's going to be coming for you, and that's your vehicle that you're going to get. And we've eliminated that, where now you are actually going to spend 10% of the time in front of that computer and give that attention that they truly deserve. Give that attention. Go. When does a subprime finance manager, I like to hear when I'm a test drive with a customer? Since when? That does not ever happen. It's like, there's your car, take it or leave it. Too bad if you did this to your credit. It's not their fault. It's our job to make sure we build them up and we go on that. Now, within our software, in 10 seconds, you're able to plug in that Google, find every car on your lot, and give that customer what they deserve. Treat them like a prime customer. It doesn't matter. In my business, whether you're buying a $10,000 car dealership or a $60,000 vehicle, you got the exact same treatment no matter what. Because to somebody spending $60,000 might have taken them a year to save. For somebody spent $10,000, also probably took them a year and a half to save. It does not change what it is. So why treat them any different? So now we're able to take that time, stop being keyboard warriors, go on a test drive with these people, and show them true value, true loyalty, and that's what I'm talking about, where these customers are gonna be worth 2, 3, 4, 5 deals to you in this dealership. And then if you don't have those options, then Aether has over 13,000 vehicles Canada-wide in dealerships, so we can provide you additional options. So is Aether gonna be the future? Absolutely, I think so.
Well, that's a thanks for the point. It's very good. And welcome back, Ted. Glad to see you made it back here. And so I'll get to answer the question. And the question is are you guys, Aether and Kim, are you guys the future of subprime or just shining light in the scene of despair?
I would love to say that we're the future of subprime. I mean, but that's a big claim. I would never make I couldn't make a claim like that. However, I do believe that we have the tool that could actually provide, and as I said, nobody goes on test drives. Well, it's not even because they don't want to. If you take it one step further back, it's because they don't know how to. It's not that they don't know how to do the test drive. They don't already look for the deal. They don't know how the process is done. So, because there's so little information in the industry. Jeff said it earlier. He's like, there's only two books that he's found that he could found on subprime, 2. And a lot of people were self-taught, like myself. I mean, there wasn't hey, Google how to be a subprime manager. So what I think happens is a person comes in, they have an approval, and they take 3-4 hours, 6 hours to structure. The pressure of having the client already sitting there is, it's sitting on them. So they go up there and they say, yeah, in 6 hours, this is your car. Yeah, if we listen to like Kim and Kim's training company, it makes perfect sense. You train your friggin' people, and your people then can actually provide a service. All right, it's no fault to the subprime man. I have to say that it's not any subprime manager's fault. If the dealer principals that aren't investing the money into that training to make it happen, because the staring fact is 200,000 Canadians this year are going to be in a non-prime situation that they've never been. Like, to me, why the dealer principals hate or subprime is because it's subprime is the same clientele that's been in the subprime situation, in subprime contract for 15 years. All right, I get like that's that stigma, but the reality is 200,000 Canadians just missed their payments a few times now, and they're not going to be deep prime, non-prime. They're near prime. 12-13% customers, just because their credit changed doesn't mean their standard did. But however, if we don't know how to cater to the same people that's never had that credit before, these are your white collar professionals. All right, you cannot tell that same client like Ted, hey, I need you to come in. Ted wants a Civic. Okay, Ted, I need you to sit in the lounge for 8 hours. I'm like, what? I don't have 8 minutes. On a day to day, we have to make money. 8 hours, I'm gone. So if we know how to cater to the customers because of the training first, you go to Kim, you get that 6 months of the 6 months of training that she compresses for you. You get your dealership ready, and then that way they know how to do the customer. They know how to treat the customer. They enter into Aether, of course. I always represent that no matter where we go, and it is important. But you enter into that, and boom, a customer has choice again. Yeah, and I hate hearing you have to buy this vehicle because it is what it is. No, it's not. All right, let's stop treating people like that, and that's my take on it. I think it comes down to dealer principles that if they invest their money into subprime, it's not subprime, it's near prime, it's non-prime, and at the end of the day, it's still a customer. And every 4 years, you can have 1 prime customer purchase, or 4 years 4 non-prime customer purchases. And everybody knows the rule. The rule is when you buy 3 or more products from the same person for the same business, it's a customer for 95% of the time. So that's my take on it.
Terrific, thank you. And I have to acknowledge Peter Smith made a couple of comments, which says long-term customer value is what's missing from the process. Brands away and engaging the opportunity, and we need to go back to relationship sales. Engage all customers equally in a non-predatory environment. And it's very interesting. I used to train all my salespeople. I used to make them sit there, and when we went through problems with qualifying, I'd make them all, in a meeting, make them all sing the song Getting to Know You. And it was very interesting when all these guys go, getting to know you, getting all about you. And it is building a relationship. And the same thing with subprime. Subprime should not be subprime because they do it as you suck. you're not good. We're gonna stick you into that Chrysler 200 again and say, I gotta get my clothes for it. But, you know, maybe we have to look at this, is bad opportunity. Something fell apart and it's not bad people in subprime. But Kim, we know you're the shining light. We know that you're.
I gotta write a book though, I guess.
There's
Absolutely.
Kim's book's coming out soon.
Kim, why don't you teach your dealers how to fund their own deals? Instead of letting a bank or funding source charge 18, 19, 20%, a $2,000 fee. I ran a leasing company since 1979. We booked our own deals. We did it mostly with Highline vehicles. We kept our own paper. We flipped our customers when we saw we had an opportunity to take that car back, give them something else, and lease that car to somebody else. And you lock yourself into these funding sources constantly. When these dealerships all have major lines of credit, why not put some of that money away and fund your own deals?
Great
You're
question.
losing a lot of money.
Yeah, great question. And the reason that I don't go there yet is because there's very few dealers that are ready to go there. That's the buy here, pay here model. They can't manage the non-prime customer when they're walking through call, click, walk through the front door, and they're not managing the non-prime customer using secured banks that they have right now. There's no way I would be teaching that dealer to start funding their own business. Not yet, but that's the, I mean, if we go back in the beginning stages of non-prime in Canada and you look in the US, you see how big buy here, pay here, and used car leasing is for non-prime. That's coming as soon as, and it'll probably be our independent dealers that grab onto it first because they're the ones that have been in the market for a long time. But I'm glad you asked that question because I can map it right on to Jeff's question, which is at the end of the day, probably the biggest struggle that I have training dealers is they'll call me up and they'll say, new franchise store, got to get into the non-prime, got to get into the non-prime. Who do you know that I can hire that's a good finance manager? And the good news for finance staff and non-prime is that you do have companies like Aether, okay, that are very quickly going to be able to, instead of saying, oh, this is our, Hyundai accent smells a little bit like cat piss. This is the one that you got to drive today, okay? Instead, what happens is with their program, because I can go in and put that pre-approval in there, and in 2 seconds not be eliminated by, not have my customer limited by inventory. They're limited by their credit. That is a different conversation when I have to sell them the Hyundai accent that smells like cat piss. Because sometimes you do. You want the truck, I still got to sell you that accent, but when Aether tells me as a finance manager in 3 seconds that the only one that this customer qualifies for because of their credit is that Hyundai, then I have confidence, I can turn around to the customer, present my credit bureau and say, here folks, here's where we're at. This is how we're gonna get you started. We're gonna get started this way. And then in 18 months, and probably with that interest rate, more like 8 months to a year, we're going to submit it back to you, all the other competitors of the banks, and we're gonna find out who's gonna give you a better approval, get you out of that people, sell you another car in 8 months, make another $4,500 a copy. But the secret ingredient is, and I've been saying this for years, that if every franchise dealer on the planet could just take this little nugget and run with it, I won't have any work to do in this industry as a trainer. You don't want to train your salespeople. Your salespeople need to be trained in non-prime. It's a very easy, simple process. And I understand that it takes time, and I understand that it's change, and I understand that that's not comfortable for everybody. But what was a little wave is now a tsunami. And if you're not ready, the thing is that most franchise dealers don't understand how much business they're losing because their finance managers are telling them who they can't get approved. You already lost it, yo. Okay, now I'm getting gangster. But you already lost it because you don't know how many deals were dropped on the phone, on a chat, when the customer walked in and talked to Joe, who sells cars in the traditional way, scared shitless, because his job is to get them in the car, get them for the test drive, and the customer's saying, with pay stubs out of their pocket, by the way, hey, I don't think it's a good idea if I drive anything right now. I'm not sure if I can get approved for that Jeep. I really want one. I'm just not sure if I can get approved for it. The thing is, they're saying it in multiple different ways that your people are not trained to hear. The best track line I got for you is every single time. In every dealership when I go in to do training, I'm walking the sales floor on the first day just to listen to the full
to listen to interact with their customers. It's, hey, welcome to the dealership, come on in, I'm Kim and you are, yeah, I'm just here to take a look at that vehicle, just want your best price on that vehicle, just want a payment on that vehicle. I'm looking at your Jeep, I'm looking at your truck, I just want a payment. And the sales managers are always fighting with their salespeople because they get stuck in their office. Let them get stuck for a minute. The customer is driving them into the office to sit down for 5 minutes and say, what's my payment on that truck? So that you can say, well, payment is a math equation. It has a couple of factors. Are you trading anything in? There's a selling price, there's an interest rate, I'm gonna get that ready for you right now. Turn towards your computer and then turn back and say, do you know what interest rate you qualify for? 9 times out of 10, they don't. Boom, now you're all set. Get the pre-approver and let Aether do their thing. But if you don't have the front end part, you have no idea what you're missing. Get your salespeople trained.
Leasing side, it brought down the monthly payments also because they had a residual in there. All our contracts for 48 months on here. And we knew we could get people in and out of cars at any time. And it worked for a long time. Then we got into the commercial side of special finance, especially to the rental car industry. When I retired, we ended up with a $50 million portfolio of rental cars. And talk about a profit center people overlook, it's amazing what we made. Because when you're buying cars for the rental car industry, I sold more Volkswagens over a 5-year period through the fleet program. Well, I paid $14,900 for a Jetta S when my dealership next door was paying 17 and change for the same damn car. It didn't take a brain surgeon to make a lot of money. It didn't. And if dealerships were smart, they would get more look into things like this. You know, five franchise dealers, they all had in-house leasing portfolios. And it's a great tax rate for dealership also. Big tax benefits. I don't know about in Canada, but in the States, when you have that huge amount of depreciation there. And it's more than a transaction, you just moving the car. There's a lot of other benefits to it also.
100%.
Want to hire me out to do some setting up leasing companies and dealerships? I'll be happy. Larry might not be happy, but I'll be happy. Your favorite friend, Larry. I know.
Profit, no? If dealerships just love profit, we just have to let them understand that by investing into your salespeople or your team and turn them all into non-prime or credit specialists, they actually net gain 25% more. So I think
they don't think that way though. They don't think that way, unfortunately.
But we need to let them know right now. For all the listeners right now, I want, as a dealer principal, or as a, like, you know, I know dealer principals, I want them to understand that on a non-prime process, which by the way, 75% or 76, I couldn't remember the exact number I read on the article, but 76 or 76, 5% of people prefer to deal with one person. So in a prime world, I walk in, there's a greeter, a salesperson, then there's a sales manager, and then a finance manager delivering for 5 people. Who do I cater to? Who am I really supposed to follow up with? It's confusing and it's a lot. And you're paying 5 people to cater to that same person. You know, right now, when you do a non-prime person, you're saving 25% because you're paying 4 people less. You have one experience, you're one customer, you're building that relationship with them, you're going through the credit with them, and the dealer saves 25%. That's equating to net profit.
You guys are too young to understand what the industry was like when we didn't have these little boxes at our desk that controlled our lives called computers. I go back to the point where there was no fax machine. We had to call a buyer.
And then they come pick up contract.
Give them a credit. The buyers all made a lot of money from us though too.
Yeah.
Dealers love profit. If they love profit, that's 25% less because you're no longer paying a salesperson 25%. You're no longer paying, you're not paying a finance manager 25%. That's 50 points gone. Guys, one person, full thing, better CSI, better customer satisfaction, more profit, invest in the training, get your people up there, get 10, 12 guys, get them there, 10, 12 on your team, start training them the processes, utilize the system. And that's one thing I do proud with Aether. It's time to build rapport. Stop building deals. Let's build rapport. Where do you want to go in 4 years? I can actually help you. Because now I'm not trying to build a vehicle or another approval into this. I'm actually going to be able to help you. You want this vehicle or you want this? Okay, cool. This is how we're going to do it. And by utilizing training and investing into your people, let's bring these non-prime people into the prime situation again, because guess what? It's not gonna be non-prime forever. In the next 18 months, it is non-prime dominant. But the dealers that are smart enough to invest now, because in my opinion, not in my opinion, we had a call with a car loan company, or Canada Car Loan, sorry, and you know, they had a meeting with Google, and Google's predicting that March could be the highest month of non-prime applicants ever seen, based on what people are Googling. So if you're not future-proofing yourself today, I think you're crazy. It's the dealers that are happy with the 70, 80 deals that they used to do this prime business in our population. Well, guess what? You can still rate that 70, 80, but now 30, 40 of those are going to go non-prime. What are you going to do then? So, yeah, I just, you know, profit is there. We can help people. This is the one time where the industry can actually do the right friggin' thing by investing into the people. Now you're not gouging people, you're actually putting them to the right direction. You're bringing prime into a non-prime experience. So when that prime market comes back, those are your customers, lifetime customers. That's what we got to do. I'm very packed on prime market. I love the subprime, those subprime, and it's just, I just don't think people understand it. It's just not fair.
Yeah, I actually put in the chat, just so everyone knows, some data, current market data as of last week from the U.S. market to talk about payments, but more importantly, you know, what the current numbers are. So that gives you some real data from the U.S. market. So thanks for all those thoughts, Ted. Go ahead, Jeff.
I'm gonna say, we're gonna have, you have a show coming up about what's the problem with training. And the funny part is you're touching on a very interesting point here. Is you talk about train your people and train your people. And you know what, Larry, Peter, John, myself, we go back long enough that that's all we've ever been talking about. Train your people, train your people. Something's very wrong here. And I'm gonna give you a very quick example, then I'm gonna get Ian to go to the next question. Is a friend of mine is looking for an electric car. And he says, what do I look at? And I said, there's a bazillion of them. You got to go see what you like, because it's just the same as buying a car. He went to a Volkswagen dealer to look at an ID4. We're going to touch on training, not subprime training, just training. The guy showing him the car says, you got to take it for a spin. He says, let go. They go out to the car. The salesperson could not unhook the car from the charger. No how. The manager was too busy to come and help him. And the manager was writing at his desk. This doesn't come to be a very critical man. It comes to the customer. The guys were too busy on the phone. The other salespeople had no interest in helping this new person, who, by the way, had the average tenure in the industry lately of 3 weeks. So we're expecting somebody, and I'll tell you what the problem is, and unfortunately this dealer is a 30-year dealer that has multiple rooftops that they hands-on manage. And their people don't know this. And this is a gentleman who was prepared to buy a car, period. And even if he'd gone into Tesla, where they're not car salespeople, they would have unhooked the car. They're pretty good at that, with their lovely t-shirts and stuff. But the point being is how can we train them to do subprime when we can't even train them to unhook it? We won't train to unhook a charger from a car that, and this, by the way, this salesperson was 22 or 23. So Ian, next question.
Yeah, I mean, I actually went to VinFast, and we're going to be test driving a VinFast soon. So you'll get to see how they compare to Tesla and Lucid. But the thing that was interesting about VinFast was they have no process. You walk in, oh, thanks for coming in. Let's talk about VinFast. We don't know the price. You can't drive it. We got one here, though. It's very interesting. So absolutely no process yet, but definitely interesting. Please share the best thing.
It's a great EV story. My son and daughter-in-law, kids were down in Florida. My son wanted to try, they're both attorneys, they can well afford whatever they want to buy.
Yeah.
He said, let me try a Tesla from Hertz. They gave a quick 2-minute demonstration. They pull up to the Fontainebleau where they're staying. They park the car, give it to the valet. The valet brings it back. There's something wrong with your car. It's stuck in valet mode. I don't know what to do with it. You drive these things more than I do. They called Hertz. Clerk on the phone goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, you have to come here before we give you the code to unlock it." Would not give him the code to unlock the car. Talk about training staff. He told them politely, "Send a tow truck and take your effing car. You know where."
Exactly. Exactly.
It's not only the car industry, it's all industry. Whenever you go to buy something. And I'm a firm believer in going to smaller stores because they're better, they understand more, they know their products and whatnot. And I don't care if you're buying a car or a widget from a plumbing store. Doesn't matter.
Great thought. What's the best in class process? I mean, when you look at dealerships that may or may not do subprime, but more importantly, maybe even the ones that do it a lot. I mean, I had some exposure with Derek Dodge and others who had a process. What's the best in class process, in your opinion, Kim? I mean, you've obviously, trained dealers at scale, but tried to train some that probably didn't stick. But what do you think is the best in class process?
Can you give me more detail? What do you mean best in class?
Well, I mean, we got dealerships who don't know how to deal with customers in general, and let's say they jump into subprime, or we have dealers that say have a subprime department. What's sort of the gold standard of sort of what they should be training? Like, how should that process work in an ideal world?
Well, I think, two things. I'm going through this myself right now because with Buy It Smart, we're not a dealership that can sometimes be misconstrued. We are the marketing arm. We generate leads for our dealer partners that we do training for. And part of that is we get the dealer started on day one with the customer service piece. Because while we're training the dealership, I need to know that somebody's going to contact these leads in the right way. And to hire people, I don't know if it's a right now thing, and to get them trained up as a trainer, I can tell you it's difficult. It's a difficult world right now. I think the expectations from people that are coming to work. So dealer principals are up against it. I get it. GMs are up against it. And it's daunting. You're just like, do I gotta train another newbie for real? And this is why our solution is so important, is because while you're filtering through the best case scenario in how do I create a non-prime manager without taking somebody else's crap? Well, they probably exist on your sales floor. So while we're in there training up the sales team, we can identify somebody that we can move into non-prime finance. At the same time, we're handling their leads for them off-site in the proper way. And I think the gold standard is we've got to, again, get back to the basics, be relentless with the process. And when someone doesn't adhere to it, hire slow and fire fast. But you got to stick with the training. Like, if you don't stick with the training, you just have staff that don't know what they're doing, and these nightmare stories will continue to happen. And look, it can be frustrating. I get it. I'm in it, but you've got to get a basic, the secret sauce is in the first couple of steps. At least you can get that right. The contact and the qualify, or what I refer to as the interview stage, and then if you're heading to non-prime to build a credit folder, 1, 2, 3 steps. In today's market, if you can get your staff on the front end line and your sales staff to execute those first 3 steps exceptional and have great customer service, what you're going to do is have a good feeling for those customers that'll want to stick in your showroom if they are in fact prime. And if they're non-prime, you got the foundation and the relationship already made. That customer's glued to your dealership. It doesn't matter the product. Get off the product for a second. Honest to God, stop talking about your damn product. There's too many people that need help with the finance end of things. When you figured out what does the customer want, is there a budget you need to be respectful of? Are they trading something in with a shit ton of negative equity? After you get through those first 3 steps, then let's take a look at the rest of it. And more often than not, you have seasoned managers that know how to take the ball and run with it if they need to, if you've got a lot of rookies that are learning. But don't give up on your rookies. And move them out if they're not prepared to do the training. I can say that thoroughly from my experience having trained 4 dealers and doing the training myself right now. And Ted's got something to say. He's going to be learned.
If I can interject, Ted, before you say something, Kim, I just wanted to comment. You just said you train a lot of stores and then you leave. And how often is it that you have to come back because the training's not being followed?
Oh my God, I say I have a 6-month program. Okay, I don't know where I'm gonna find, I gotta find the time to write this book you guys keep talking about, but the 6-month program, somehow I've gotta make it so that I can get more dealers involved other than a 1-day workshop. The reality is, it's in a 1-day workshop. You can get the tools you need to take it. If you've been in the business for 5 years, you can take it back and hammer your sales staff with it. I can come in and throw a little bit of, you know, sauce on the, what do you call it?
Pizza?
Soup on the barbie, okay? That's it. I can just sparkle with the venue. That's all, because you already know the basics. I'm just asking you to take this piece and put it on this piece. And you need leadership in the dealership, pounding it every single day. If the leadership gets it, and they're pushing it down to their sales staff, and they're not taking no for an answer, high or slow, high or fast, I'm telling you, follow the process or get out. Then you're gonna have something. But to answer your question, my process usually takes 6 months, and it's for that reason, because I gotta go, show, then they do it their way, then I come back, and on the first session, I come in and I pick up actually, I wonder if I got a sheet of paper here. Oh, I don't have it with me. It's my interview form, and I hold it up in front of all the managers, and I say, you can get this today. You won't have to pay me the thousands of dollars you're gonna pay me over the next 6 months. This is the secret sauce. Get your salespeople to do it, and you solve the non-prime problem. Now get some good tools and tech, get some good marketing, tools and tech, get some good marketing. You know, make sure you've got the process solid, your leadership team knows how to manage it really well. And you just keep with the ongoing training, which again, we can do online, we can do through my book that's coming out in 6 months. I don't know, did I answer your question?
Yeah.
I think training is so important because right now, when we actually start, when we flip the entirety of the process around, right, it's speed, like ego. I mean, for those that don't know, like we decided to do SubPrime not because we wanted to make a lot of money on a lot of clients, and that's not the intention. It's for me, I lived the American dream. In 04 to 07, I was a great salesperson. I was making $130,000 a year, spending $250. I was doing the American dream, and that American dream did not last very long until 08. Boom, when everything came down, that's when I realized that I wasn't a bad person. I made bad decisions. However, there is nothing out there to help me, and I want to be able to teach people what I've learned over the years. I probably paid off my Murano 2017, or my 2007 Murano with 168K, which I treated like it was brand new because I got approved for it. It was 16%. I was like, yeah. And I paid that car over 3 times, and this is the type of knowledge I'm like, man, even if I knew, I'm going to pass this on to other people. And how do we get people in and out? Let's not pin them into vehicles that they don't want. Again, we're good people, just bad things happen to us. So why don't we get them in place, treat our clientele not like a checkbook, because it actually becomes money anyway. The better you treat these clients, 4 purchases in 4 years versus 1 in 4. I mean, I'm sold. And secondly, if you don't believe in the training, I gotta ask yourself, what have you been relying on? And you know, I had a dealership, I'm not gonna name the name, but we had a chat the other day. They're like, our brand nationally is 26% non-prime right now. It's a luxury brand. And I was like, holy crap, nationally 26% getting declined. And they're like, but we're doing good. We're doing great. We're at 21%. And I was like, oh, and are you capturing all of it? He's like, I think we're killing it right now. And I was like, how many? And he's like, I'm like, how many percentages of your deals right now are non-prime? It's like 5%. And I'm like, okay, wait. So 21%, you're doing 5. And he's like, yeah, we're killing it. I'm like, no, you're not. You're missing out on all that percentage right there. They just don't know how to do it. We got to get the training in place. Call Kim. It's a no-brainer. 6 months is, you know, had you done this 6 months ago, tomorrow you'd be laughing. You know what I mean? So get in now. From now until September, it's perfect. Yeah, get that wave in. Obviously, aetherx.com. Get us involved, because I took the hardest part of building SubPrime and we put it into a system so we can just build rapport. 2 years is for now listening. Instead of listening on how to close them, we could truly just listen to them and hear why, where do they want to go and how can we help them to get there. And by utilizing the training, everything else, it's a no-brainer. We gotta go that route.
Jeff?
I just thought about that. Funny.
Yeah, I think Kevin touched on it really well, and Ted, it's so important to get the people in training. I was surprised when I was eating nice meal before. I was surprised. You have a customer sitting there. They ask you a question on and I love that Ken touched on that. They ask you a question on financing, and they're like, hold on, I'll be right back. They get up from their desk and they run to the finance manager and they're asking them a question, and then they'll come back and the customer's like, what about this? They're like, hold on, I'll be right back. They'll go back to the finance manager, ask the question, and then they'll come back and then they're in the middle of a test drive and they're like, well, do you think I can get approved on this? I don't know. Hold on. When we get back, I'll find out for you. I'll get the right answer for you. And I've seen that so many times, and I'm just like, how do you have these guys on the dude, dealerships are so worried about capturing certain markets, and they don't even realize to invest in training to their own people. A salesperson that's on your floor, first of all, you're paying them, a couple $1,000s a month, and then you have these guys who just throw them to the wolves and you throw them on the ground. You teach them nothing. There's no training. And Kim has a training process for 6 months. It's great. Get with it, because your turnover rate is going to be less as well. When you have a less turnover rate in your dealership because the training and the processes are implemented, it's going to be that much less. And a single employee, I think if I read this right, costs over $40,000 just to a dealership just to come on, because the amount of money that they're going to bring in. Not only that, when they pick up the phone and Kim mentioned that earlier, they pick up the phone and the customer's like, well, I have a car, I might owe too much on it, and I'm not sure whether I can get approved or not. How is that person going to make it into the dealership? Do they have the training for it? Do they know what to do? Or they're just going to say, let me call you right back. I gotta go run to my finance manager, and I gotta ask the right questions. So, I think it's so important to train your people, invest in them. Your turnover rate's gonna be less. Your loyalty and retention from the customers is gonna get increased as well. If you're not buying it smart and you're not with Aether, get with it.
But very quickly,
yeah,
you've got a 5-figure salesman who isn't doing their job, who's being trained by a 6-figure manager who's not doing their job, who's being trained by a 7-figure dealer. What's wrong?
Yeah, it is. It starts from the top.
But part of it's just credibility, though. I mean, if you're working in car sales, whether it be for a year, 6 months, 10 years, 20 years, if you can't answer basic questions from a customer, that's just scary. I remember years ago when I sold for Honda, and people would ask me questions at the desk about a discount on a Honda Civic. And most of the guys I worked with would go talk to the manager about what the discount could be. And I said, I've sold more Civics than a lot of people, but I didn't need to sell more than one to know what that answer is. I don't need to go talk to someone else to ask that question. I kind of know what it is. I know where I'm at, right? So, train your people and give them the respect of being able to answer those top 10 questions, because the questions don't change. The objections for buying vehicles or financing vehicles probably haven't changed in at least 30 years. The rates might have, but the objections haven't changed. So you should be prepared for those things. And I know I'm speaking to the choir. Go ahead, Jeff.
The quality of the people has changed. Larry and I do recruiting all over the country and Canada. And we are finding that people that are coming in for jobs in the auto industry, they're looking for a job, not a career. All of us on this screen have been in this industry for a long time, and it's been a career for us, and a great career, I assume, for everybody. We've all made a lot of money in this career. But today's, the 20 to 25, 30-year-olds, it's a job, that's all it is, until they find something else that they want to go to. And that's the frightening thing. They don't realize that it takes 3 years in this business as a sales representative, and then you start making a lot of money with repeat and referral business. You shouldn't have to take enough off the floor every 3 years. You should have enough business being brought in. And they don't understand that. They just don't get it. They think they can make some quick money and go on to their next career. It's like I compare New York to Philadelphia. I live in the Philadelphia area. And I grew up in New York. Restaurant help, servers in restaurants in New York, it's a career. And they make six-figure incomes. Philadelphia, it's just a job, even in better restaurants. All it is a job. And I think the car industry's faced that also.
I would agree.
Kim's looking at me like she doesn't know what to say to that one.
Apologies, Harry, we're at the top of the hour, and out of respect for everybody's busy lives, we do like to end things. If I could just ask for final comments from our guests or any of our lovely viewers, by the way. I'm looking at all these great looking people looking at us. Any comments?
I think Ted has one.
Yeah, no, I just, you know, the lack of non-prime knowledge, I just remember, I just wanted to throw this out there really quickly. I was at a dealership, no lie, and this lady salesperson comes up, and she's like, I heard about bankruptcy, and she's like, yeah, my client's bankrupt, that's why they don't have a deposit, but it's okay. And I was like, do you understand what bankruptcy is? She's like, yeah, when the customer loses their bank card. And this is after they just walked him into the finance office, and I was like, oh my goodness. Holy
And that's
and she was so genuinely worried where he lost the bank card. And I was like,
great approval too. That's a great approval. That's the new car customer right there.
I think your fault there is you use the term lady. You shouldn't be using that in today's world.
Really? I'm a lady. You can use it with me, Ted.
Okay, you're a different generation.
We would like to evoke the disclaimer clause.
But no, I just wanted to say, you know, leverage your technology. Don't be scared about non-prime. Everything that you want to achieve, if you really want it, there's resources out there. As we mentioned, Kim, multiple times, that's a great outlet to start getting into non-prime. Obviously, Aether, AITHR, X.com, it's our website. We legitimately take the, we put the FU back in front for some time, the good way. So, you know, that's what I wanted to say. And thanks so much for having me, guys. I've always been wanting to be on the show. I listen to it all the time. I'm a huge fan. Yeah, I'm grateful. Sorry about the disconnection earlier. I'm just in London, England, and just trying to find spot reception. So I apologize, but I'm grateful for being here. Thank you so much.
Dude, yes, I'm so glad you joined us. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody, and have a fantastic week, and keep positive, as the saying goes.
Yep. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks for joining us. It was a great show, and follow us anywhere you would like on your favorite podcast, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and of course on our YouTube, or subscribe to our own channel.
Hey, John, thanks for joining us.